welcome everyone. This is the CRE Arena podcast. We get on here, we talk about commercial real estate, we talk about life, business, entrepreneurship, success, all the fun and interesting things, at least what we think's fun and interesting. So hopefully whoever's watching it, you get value from it as well. And whether you're in commercial real estate or not, hopefully the content in this podcast helps you be more successul in whatever you set out to do. Or you just, think it's funny and you want to laugh at us. That's okay too. So today we have Robbie Lober, who's crushing it, industrial real estate broker out of Tampa, and he's crushing it. And just wanted to bring him on the podcast. And I've been watching his success for a few years, and man, it just seems like the other day when we met in Plant City for tacos, and and those tacos slapped. By the way, that was so good.
Yeah,
and
that salsa verde sauce was good, man.
Yeah, the guac specifically. It was. Don't forget that. But I mean, when we sat there and talked, it just seemed like you were in such a different place, and I feel like that was 18 months ago, 2 years ago. So so we'll get into that. But man, so thanks for coming on, and then I just wanted to kind of have you introduce yourself and who you are, what you're doing, and then also how you got here, man. Where were you born and raised, and how'd you get to where you are today?
Cool, man. Yeah. No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. The countdown got me pumped up and everything so far. I really appreciate it.
Love
it. Excited to get on here. But everyone, Robbie Lober, industrial broker in Tampa. I specialize in investment sales and warehouse leasing. Everything kind of started a couple years ago, and it is insanely fast. Time has flown since you and I, man, first met back. I mean, that was a little over 2.5. I was 6 months into the business when you and I got lunch in Plant City. So that was insane how time has flown and where things have gone from then to now.
That was 2.5 years ago?
Yeah, because I had just started.
Wow.
My third year, year 3 will start for me in January 23. So I met you 6 months in. I reached out to you. Yeah. I kept seeing your stuff on LinkedIn and all the deals you were doing, the activity you were doing, and you were pretty young compared to most people that are doing industrial. And I figured you and I would resonate a lot with each other and have a lot of similarities. So that's why I kind of wanted to reach out. And thankfully you met up with me, took the time out of your day to have some lunch, and it was a really good time, man. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, that was fun, man. Like I said, and it's those little hole in the wall taco spots when you just meet up at one of those in a smaller town, and sure. Right between Tampa and Lakeland. That was fun, man. So now I know you're in Tampa now, but is that where you were born and raised, or have you always been native to Florida? Where did this all start?
Native to Florida, not born and raised in Tampa. I was born in Orlando, actually a small little town called Castleberry. I lived there. I was born there and lived there until I was about 6. And then from 6, moved out with my family to New York. We moved to Long Island. Lived in Long Island, New York for about 2 years. Came down to East Lake Woodlands over here in Oldsmar. So I moved down here in 6th grade. 4th grade. So I came down here in 4th grade. Lived here for 2 years till 6th grade. And then we relocated back to New York for a little bit for a summer, 6 months. I ended up coming back actually to Florida by myself for the summer to play baseball, travel baseball with a few buddies of mine, and I stayed with my coach while my family was up in New York. And then before that summer finished, my parents were like, "Hey, don't pack your bags. We're coming back to Florida." So I've been here since. So since 6th grade. So now I've been relocated to Tampa since 6th grade, and my family's local. They're about 10 minutes up the road. I'm in Dunedin right now. They're in Palm Harbor. So we've been accustomed to Palm Harbor, Oldsmar, Dunedin area the last 15 years. Yeah, it's been about since I was 11, so I'm 25, about to turn 26. So 14, 15 years now. Yeah. So since 6th grade, middle school, high school, and college, I've been around here, and now I consider Tampa home.
Yeah, and that's one of those, when you move down here. So I moved to Florida when I was in 5th grade, so about the same time. And that's one thing I just say I'm super appreciative to be here. I still have friends in Missouri, and I had a family friend. They also just moved from Missouri. So to be here and just rooted here in Florida, Central Florida, and I mean it's kind of been obvious, especially since COVID. Everybody's flocked here, and the secret's out of the bag, I think. And I mean, to Floridians, it hasn't been a secret, but this is the spot to be. And, I try and sell Florida, Lakeland on everybody I meet, so.
You have to.
Yeah, and Tampa, it's my job, right? Tampa, Lakeland, Orlando, just being in Central Florida, I think it's the best ever. So you went to high school in Tampa. Where'd you go to high school at?
I went to high school in Tarpon Springs over here, actually local to me now, but East Lake High School over here in Tarpon.
Gotcha.
And then college, I started at FGCU in Fort Myers. I went to Florida Gulf Coast for my first year. Hated it. Was not a fan of Fort Myers at all. It was extremely slow paced, and it was not a fit for me. So after my summer, fall, and spring semesters, I made the jump, transferred to USF, came back to Tampa, and stayed at USF my final 3 years. And thankfully it happened because that's kind of how I got to where I am today.
Yeah, no, Tampa's a spot to be, man. And USF, that's an exciting school.
No, it was cool. It wasn't as good as Southeastern, but
Yeah, right. No, I'm proud of that one, man. Everybody asks like who I'm a fan of. Like, well, actually, just being recently married, Brittany's family, they're like 4 or 5 generations deep of Florida Gators. So so it's a cult, So, and I'm in it now. Yeah, so her family goes up every weekend, goes to all the games.
You have to.
Yeah, we just went to the Utah game. That was crazy, dude. Dude, we were in the end zone where they caught the pick and knocked off number 7 in the country. Dude, the state and it was the largest home opener in school history, like 90,000 people, dude.
I saw that.
It was nuts. So
that QB, man, he's got a rocket.
Yeah, they call him. So I love his nickname, dude. They call him AR-15.
Yep,
he's a pretty bad dude. I'm excited to see
probably a first round pick.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do this year, and I think he's pretty young. And then new coach, their coach is legit, awesome dude. They just brought him in from Louisiana, and Billy Napier, I think his first name is Billy, but yeah, Billy Napier, he's legit. So anyway, so I see the jersey. Did you play ball in I know you said you played baseball. You play football in high school or college or what's the story with the jersey?
So it's a good story actually. No, I didn't play football. I played baseball growing up. My best friend played football, and that's who's behind me. That's who's the house I'm sitting in right now. So my best friend and I, we got a house. My best friend, we got a house together. He and I. He was like the second kid I met down here when I moved to Florida. Well, back to Tampa when I was in 4th grade. We met playing baseball together in Little League. And he and I played ball together growing up. We went to different middle schools and then the same high school and then different colleges. But we stayed best friends ever since we met. And until this day, I talk to him religiously every hour. And that's who's behind me. So his college jersey's on the wall behind me, and then his NFL jersey's over there.
Oh, that's sick.
It's really
awesome. The Broncos?
Broncos, yeah. So he's up in Denver right now. He plays for the Broncos. So if you guys ever want to tune in on Sundays, man, go watch number 40. He's a linebacker. His name's Justin Sternad.
What is it?
Justin Sternad. He's a linebacker, number 40 for the Broncos.
Let's go, man. That's sick.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
Who are they playing this week?
This week they're playing Monday night, opening against the Seattle Seahawks on the road.
That'll be interesting, man. I want to see how Seattle is this year. I almost picked up Lockett on my fantasy league, but I didn't know who was throwing to him. I just didn't know how it was going to pan out in Seattle this year.
Of course,
of course. And DK Metcalf, he's another target too that they can also throw to. But so how long has your buddy been in the league?
This is his 3rd year.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's his 3rd year.
When I think of Broncos linebackers, man, I just think of I start to think of Von Miller. I just watched, he was playing last night. I was watching the Bills Rams game, and dude, that guy is
insane.
He's lethal, dude. I don't know how old he is too. He's got to be getting up there in age, but he's just.
I think he's 32, 31, 32.
Yeah, he's incredible. And the Rams, offensive line just didn't look good, dude. I think Stafford got sacked. He got sacked a lot, but
too many turnovers in that game. It was a good game. The second half was a lot better. The first half was a little slow, but it was a good turnout for the Bills.
Yeah, they look good, man. They're an exciting team.
Anybody on your fantasy team went last night?
Dude,
come on.
So I had Cam Akers. The running back.
Don't tell me you started him. Don't tell me you started him.
Dude, I was yes.
No. Oh no.
Yes.
No.
Showed up with a double goose egg at the end of the night. Just yeah, dude. It was rough. And then I had Devin Singletary too. So I was like, hey, I can get both sides of this thing. I'm gonna be good either way. But But Singletary really didn't ball either. You know, Josh Allen was putting it in the air, and you know.
I know Zach Moss was catching all the balls out of the backfield too.
Yeah, no, and they're incredible, man. They're a good football team. So
yeah, they hit on all cylinders last night. I guess it'd be devastating to tell you that I had Josh Allen, Gabe Davis, and Cooper Kupp go last night. So I had a pretty good night.
Wow, dudes. Yeah, so not the guy I was playing against, but another guy in my league had Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen. I was like, yeah, that's cool, dude. He had like 60, 70 points across 2 players. I'm like,
yep.
Yeah, so, well, cool, man. So, like, you know, so to get back on track, so from what 2.5 years ago, which is just incredibly hard to think that it's been 2.5 years. So I mean, I guess before that, so getting into commercial real estate, did you go into commercial real estate right out of college?
I did, yeah. I did go right out of college because I started interning at Cushman & Wakefield my junior year. So junior year, senior year, I was interning. And after the 2 years I spent with them, I learned an incredible amount of good stuff, valuable knowledge, and met some incredible people. Tampa, Lakeland, and all those people I got to meet, interact with. Majority of them went on the industrial side. And after 6 months, 7 months in, I mean, I fell in love with it. And now to this day, I mean, I'm addicted to it. I'm passionate about it, as you are. It's become, obviously, it's my passion for work. It's how I put food on the table, how I supply for myself and my future family. But not only that, I also plan on doing it personally, investing into warehouse buildings. So it's fun to preach it to your clients, preach it to your friends, and then it helps you do it for your own personal investments as well.
Yeah, no, and I tell people that all the time, that I think the best way to get, you know, if you want to invest in commercial real estate, I think the best way is to become a broker. And, you know, that was initially my motive to get into the business. Was I knew I wanted to invest in real estate, and then you look at commercial real estate and you're like, man, you know, Kevin Hart, like the way my bank account's set up, it just doesn't, you know, doesn't work. So, you know, when I first got into real estate, that was kind of the game plan, and that's what stood true to this day. Was, you know, I was going to help others build wealth, you know, businesses grow, expand, people retire. You know, we've got to do a lot of really cool, exciting, fun things, which I'm sure you've experienced a lot of, you know, being a broker. But then also, you know, you get all the experience and the transactions and the resume, you get all that under your belt. And then, you know, also hopefully make a little bit of money in the meantime to then start, you know, pulling into investment deals. So, that's you know what my career has consisted of, and it seems like you're on the same path as well. So
yeah, I'm trying to follow in those footsteps, man. I know you've been telling me a lot about you starting to buy some deals and get some skin in the game. So I'm trying to follow behind you.
Yeah, I got. Yeah, we just recently talked. I mean, I got that one I put under contract I was telling you about. Yep. So we executed an LOI on it. So it's going to a lease. Yeah. So I appreciate it, bro. But you were the first person. You were the first person I called, man. I appreciate that. You helped me out on that one.
For sure.
I had to look at it and be like, I knew you leased something right down the street, so I was like, man, he's just had something very similar. Let me see what's going on with this exact size, and you helped me out on that, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
So when you were with Cushman, were you with Jessica Mizrahi in that group, or was it like a separate group, or?
I was for a certain amount of time, but the way it happened was this whole transition. I first started with the research side. I was just interning with the research team, led by Michelle McMurray, who's now at JLL. And she's one of my favorite people on the planet, probably the smartest human being I've ever met in my life. And she's incredible to this day, one of my favorite mentors. Yeah. But I had spent the first 8 weeks of the summer with her, with Michelle, and just focusing on the research analyst team. And what we did was we did a bunch of projects that supported research for multiple asset classes, industrial, office, retail, multifamily, so on and so forth. And thankfully and fortunately, after the 8 weeks, the industrial team, led at the time at Cushman by Jessica and Julia, asked me to remain on and stay as an intern on just the industrial team throughout my school year. So that was the goal. That was the goal, to get my foot in the door there. And, you know, thankfully it happened. I was presented the opportunity, took it. And after that, stuck with the industrial team for the last year and a half and fell in love with it. Jessica and Julia were absolutely tremendous to my growth and tremendous to my career path, and leading me to where I wanted to find myself after graduation. And it was everything fell into place the way it should.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, and yeah, they have a bunch of girls over there that are just lethal. Like I think like Lisa Ross, Julia, And I mean, Central Florida, especially in industrial real estate, and like I said, Jessica, man, I love dealing with her on transactions. She is dang good at what she does, and she's lethal to the market.
Yeah,
So,
they all are. They're all really talented.
That's what I'm saying. They're all really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, giving us a serious run for our money. We got to step up our game.
It's serious. A lot of women in industrial real estate. It's a thing. It's a thing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a thing, and like I said, they crush it. So when you with the 8-week program you did in research, and you said you did it across like all different asset classes, what were you doing? Were you doing like sales trends, or just like comps, or were you doing like BPOs or BOVs like for the agents? What were you doing in the research department?
A lot of it was data entry, to be honest with you, and I'd like to go back into it first to see how the whole thing happened. I'll tell you how the whole thing came about with the whole Cushman & Wakefield opportunity. Because it's a really great story to me, and it really hits home for me, because it means a lot to me the way everything fell in place. And it's a good whole 360 view of how everything happens for a reason. So what happened my freshman year of college, when I was at FGCU, and I knew I was going to leave and go transfer to USF, I knew that summer, so freshman year to sophomore year, I know I wanted to start initiating internships as early and as often as I possibly can, just to get some experience, start meeting people, get to know me, I get to know them. I wanted to get on LinkedIn and really start building my page. I just knew at the end of the day, I'm going to learn a ton in school, but I'm really not going to get the hands-on experience and actually get a good grasp of the career path unless I'm out there doing it, talking to the people that are already doing it for years, and I get to pick their brains. So I started applying to internships immediately after freshman year of college, and my first 2 summers, I was at Regions Bank. So my first summer, I was at Regions Bank interning on their marketing team. The following summer, I was interning with Regions Bank on their mortgage team. And just from the experience that I put together on my resume from the first 2 summers, it helped translate that Cushman & Wakefield, it stood out to them. Fast forward a couple of years later, now I'm at USF. There's no real estate program there, unfortunately. So in my mind, I was majoring in finance, and I just envisioned, all right, I'm just going to go into like investment banking or just do something financially institution related. I didn't really know what else to do. And finally, a buddy of mine, his name's Cameron King and Noah Dotz. So shout out to you guys if you're watching this one day. Cameron's over in Boca now, and Noah's up in Utah, but we were interns together at the time, and I'll get to that in a second. But they had told me, hey, there's a real estate society club going on at USF Thursday night. You want to come? And I wasn't working that night. I worked at Publix all the way through high school and college, and I wasn't working that night. And I was like, yeah, let me go. So I went to the real estate society club. That night, they had a panelist role of speakers. So there's about 7 people speaking, 2 of which were Julia and Jessica. So the other ones were like a real estate developer from Circle K, a real estate manager at Colliers, a real estate acquisitions guy for IKEA. So there's about 7 people, all extremely influential out there and really game changers in real estate in general. Julia and Jessica stood out to me. When it was their time to speak, and they started talking about what they do on a day-to-day basis, how they got started, what their days look like, the clients they serve, the customers they do, what their success is looking like, what their flexibility looks like, the money they can make. I fell in love with it. I was like, damn, that sounds extremely interesting. And I was like, wow, I can do that. Like I want to do that. So that kind of helped get everything going for me in my mind. And in the end, they asked if for the first 10 kids who signed up, they're going to host a property tour at Cushman & Wakefield's Tampa office the following Friday. So I was one of the first 10 kids to sign up. So 10 of us from that meeting got to go do a property tour and walk around and see everything at the Cushman & Wakefield's office. They had set up lunch for us. They had brought everyone from every asset class team to sit in this big conference room and tell us like 10-minute spiel about who they are, what they do, how they got to where they are. So we got to go there. I made sure I was prepared. I had a list of like 15 questions to spit off to all of them. Michelle actually pinpointed me out that day because I kept asking a bunch of questions, and a lot of the other USF kids were kind of nervous and didn't speak up, and that kind of helped I get their eyes on me. And in the end, this is kind of how everything works. It's so funny how I still laugh at it to this day. In the end of that whole property tour, it was like 2 hours long. They had lunch. They all got to do their speaking, and then we got to ask our questions. In the end, they're like, hey, if anyone wants to stay and speak after about an internship opportunity we have for the summer, please feel free to drop your resume and then hang out. In the end, we'll talk. So in the end, when it was over, I just dropped my resume and left. I didn't even stay. I was the only kid I didn't stay because when she started saying that it was about the research team and it was an opportunity to help with a lot of like data entry things, administrative things, computer tech stuff, Excel, I'm not good at that. I wasn't really so good at it back then. And I just knew that in that moment in time, I would not be valuable to them because my skill set wasn't suitable for that, what they needed. And I was doing similar work like that at Regions Bank for those 2 summers, and I knew that I didn't really enjoy it because I wasn't that good at it. And I really feel strong. I feel confident that like if you're good at something, you'll like doing it. And I didn't feel like I'd be a really good asset to them, so I just dropped my resume and I left. The next day, I get a phone call from Michelle and Nicole Griswold, who's there. She's the operations manager for Cushman. And they're like, "Yo, hey Robbie, we noticed you were the only one who didn't stay yesterday, and talk about the internship stuff. Like, why?" They're like, "Why is that?" And I was like, "I just got to be honest with you. I didn't think I'd be a good fit for the spot." And they're like, "Well, honestly, what you did at Regions Bank those 2 summers, that's exactly what we need help with." And they're like, "Is it okay? Can we take you out to lunch tomorrow? At least just talk to you about what it's about, what it'll entail, and then you can make a decision from there." And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be awesome." So the next day, I went back, I had lunch with them, I sat in a room, we spoke for like an hour and a half, and just kind of get like that one-on-one. And gratefully they offered me the spot right there, and they said, "Listen, if you want the internship, it's yours." And I figured there in my mind, it's a way to get my foot in the door, meet brokers, learn about the other brokerage asset classes, and I took it. And it's just crazy how things come full circle like that, because then I started with Michelle, and I went into it not expecting to have as much fun as I did and to learn as much as I did. And it was incredible. It was a valuable experience for me to understand the whole back ends of deals, the back ends of projects, the back end of new developments. And Michelle was, tremendous with my growth and my learning that summer. And she was the most personable, helpful, hands-on person I ever could have asked for. And she exposed me to so many different things and was super, super genuine and true to me. And, I love her to this day. She's an incredible person, and I care very much for her. She was so impactful in my life. And she helped kind of get my foot in the door with the industrial team. With Julia and Jessica at the time. And then once they saw the hard work I put in for the summer for those 8 weeks and the impressions I made on everybody else around me at Cushman, they asked me to stay on. And then that's kind of what happened to get to the industrial team and start interning there. And then the rest is history. Now I'm doing it.
That's crazy, man. I think there's like some really good lessons in that for young people, because that's a time, that a lot of those college kids are trying to figure out, like, hey, the question of what am I going to do after college, and then how do you get there, how do you do it, etc. That's so many kids, high school and college. And I think, one of the big lessons there, just you dropping off your resume, like, so, because we get those like really like anxious or stressful or like times when you want to cop out, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like you could have just like straight bounced, you're just like, hey, like, not drop the resume and just left, like I'm not a fit, tuck your tail and walk out. You only like tucked your tail halfway, you know what I'm saying? Like you dropped the resume, but you're like, hey, I'm still just going to cop out. So like even that slightest bit of like, man, that bravery of like, hey, let me just drop the resume and I'll just walk out. If they call me, they call me. If not, hey, that's what I thought it was going to be. But just having those moments of bravery when you're young, and then also I think in stuff like that, like just dropping off a resume, but also asking questions too. Just because I think like for when you're on a panel and nobody has any questions, first off, it's incredibly awkward. Hopefully the person that's moderating the panel like has questions, and then it kind of like pings along. But in a setting like that, I would imagine that some of the other panels and things that I've been on, it's been more like industry related, where it's a warmer audience of people that are also like in industrial or commercial real estate or in finance or business, entrepreneurship, whatever it is, and they just have questions. And then everybody wants to talk about business and entrepreneurship, and they're trying to get better because they're in it. But when you're like a college kid, you just kind of go in there like, maybe it's like, oh, my advisor told me to come to this, or, I had to sit in 5 of these to get my hours for this class. And I actually spoke at Florida Southern College recently. David Hungerford's a adjunct professor there, and he teaches a real estate class. So he has me come in once a year and talk to all the kids there. And it's so fun because I can just kind of like, I don't know, I don't come in there and give like the normal presentation. Like I always kind of like pick out the kids in the back, or the kids that are just like on their phone. And I'm just like, hey, like what's up with you? Like, what's going on with you? And just like kind of
I want to come do that with you. Bro, next time you do that, man, holler at me.
Dude, it's fun. I'm actually going in October. So it's coming up in October. And it's a great experience. And then but kids are used to hearing the speakers, and then they just get up there and speak. And I think I feel very fortunate to be in the position to like be able to speak on things and have some type of 2 cents that people want to listen to, because oftentimes, and nothing against the older people in the crowd, but like when you're 19 or 20, and then there's somebody that, like, even if they've done really well and been really successful, like if they're 55, 60, 65, however, like, if they're an older crowd, it's just very much harder to relate. So when I went and spoke at Florida Southern, I was talking about just like, hey, real world, like, only a few years ago, like, I was here, this is what I went through, this is how I did it, this is, the thought process I was going through. And I feel like for a lot of those kids, it's like,
it can resonate.
That's what I'm thinking right now, like, so I just kind of, like to take a different approach to it. And, so, I think that's, what you did. And I think that's a good lesson for the young people, is like, hey, asking questions and the bravery component. Because once you take those shots, and it's on both sides. There's something to be said about like the bravery and the stepping up, and it's often that way with like public speaking or anything like that. It's one of those things when somebody asks you to public speak, you're just like, and even when this is for the college kids, this is for the older people as well. But when somebody asks you to like public speak, you instantly like, they like, you get a knot in your stomach, and you're just like, like maybe, let me check, my calendar. You just kind of like instantly like get knots. But there's been so many times that almost probably every time that I've like spoken publicly, something like extremely good has come out of it. Like I've seen so much good, whether it's like people in the crowd that like I resonated with or needed to hear something that I said, or have like come up to me afterwards and said like, hey, this you said like impacted me in a major way. Like I've had that multiple times, and just those opportunities of, the bravery and stepping up and like kind of doing the hard things, doing the things that are tough and, are challenging. Usually there's really good stuff that comes out of them. So
agreed.
So after the, you were on the team for, you said 2 years at Cushman?
I was 2 years total. Yep.
And then, so what took you to Boonat? Like 2 years, and then, what was the transition there? Did you just get recruited? Did they offer you a, opportunity, or how'd that go? Because it's, and I want to talk about this too, because, not only speaking for the younger people going from college into the work world, but also, once you're in commercial real estate, there's a pretty big difference between like corporate commercial real estate and more like independently owned, or I don't want to say startup, but like people that are independently owned or just newer, or whatever it is. But in all, commercial real estate is still very entrepreneurial, and it's incredibly hard, and you got to work hard at every single level. And I have respect for everybody, but it's just a much different game. So like, what was attractive about that? What got you there, and how was it different? What was that like?
Here's another really good learning lesson that it's going to be valuable for the young people out there while watching and listening.
Love it.
Because the way it happened, it was not planned. It wasn't as planned. After I spent my 2 years with Cushman, approaching my final semester in college, so I had 5 months left. So the last spring semester, we had started to discuss about a full-time offer to stay on and start as an associate or junior broker there. So to start as a junior on the industrial team. So we had talked about it for a handful of months up until my graduation in May about staying there and jumping on the team full time. And I had asked them politely. I was like, "Hey, I've been working since I'm 14. I started working at Publix. I've been working all the way through since." I was like, "Can I please have the summer off just to travel and just to do whatever I need to do, and just have 2 months just to debrief from everything?" And they said, "Yes, you can. No problem. We understand. On one condition: you come August 1 with your real estate license in your hand, ready to go." That was my promise to them. Wow. And I failed. And that was my mistake. And this is where I'm going to jump into everything. And it's kind of what led me to where I am today. And it's really made me bust my tail a million times harder. That summer started. So, I graduated. I started doing a bunch of traveling. I had a handful of money saved up that I wanted to allocate on going to do travel. And so I went to Vegas, went to Denver, I went to the Keys. I went diving. I got certified. I played a bunch of golf. Did a lot of fishing trips. A lot of things that I knew I wouldn't be able to do as often. I had those 2 months. I had to make my time up worthwhile. And my promise to them was that I'd come with my real estate license in my hand come August 1. So I knew that since USF didn't have a program, I had to do the online schooling, had to do the online classes for the real estate exam, then do the state exam. So I did a crash course, a weekend thing. I passed the class exam, and it was extremely easy. And I took the state exam for granted. I thought the state exam would be a lot easier than it was, and I struggled. I waited till the last week of July to schedule my test.
I was going to ask, like, when, because I know you got to schedule them like a week or two out. So when was this? Like the last weekend?
I'll never forget it. July 23rd is when I took my first test. I was flying out to Vegas that night to go see a friend, and I went to Sarasota to take it, and I missed it by 2 questions because you need a 75 or higher, and I got a 73, and I missed it. So that took a lot of guts and bravery to call Julia, call Jessica, and be honest with them, tell them I failed it. We had a good laugh about it. They were okay. They understood. And they said, "Hey, it's all good. We all failed our first time too. Go ahead. You'll have another shot. It's all good. You have some time." So I quickly tried to reschedule another one, and lo and behold, fast forward 3 times later, I failed it all 4 times. So I failed the real estate exam 4 times, and after that 4th time, I had to go in and have the hardest meeting I ever had to have, the most embarrassing and nerve-wracking meeting with Julia. And she had to tell me that she was revoking my offer because of the lesson, because of my mistake. I didn't hold them to my end of the deal. And at the end of the day, I know that it killed her to do that, but I know that she had to do it. It was a lesson I had to learn. She had a team that she had to protect. She had a business that she had to continue servicing. And obviously the managing principal there, Scott Garlick, and everybody else, we had a very, very heart-to-heart discussion about it. And it was a life lesson for me. And that was extremely impactful in my life because it made me then think and switch gears and put fire under my tail because, man, I had lost everything I had worked my tail for 2 years. I knew I was going to start with Cushman, and that just fell into pieces in just like that, a matter of 2 seconds. So I had to then switch everything, transition mentally, get out of that rut and figure out a way. And, unfortunately, it fell apart like that. But I know in my heart that at the moment, I still wanted to work in industrial. I still wanted to get into commercial real estate, and I still wanted to be a broker. And I knew that career was for me. I didn't want to let it go. It could have been really, really easy. I could have just went to a finance job or a regular 9-to-5, a regular salary job. But I really didn't. I felt in my heart that it all happened for a reason. And I felt that this was my challenge, either like it's going to kick me and lead me down or just find a way to rise from this and come up from it and figure out a way to make it happen. So then after that moment, the next day after that happened, when Julie and I had that conversation to revoke my offer, I took the test one more time and I passed it.
Wow.
And it's just crazy how things work. I'll never forget this day because we still talk every day. I talk to her every week. She's one of my best mentors in life because of that moment. And the next day, I told her, I was like, "Yo, I just took the test. Guess what?" And she goes, "You passed, didn't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Do not come asking for your job back. I can't do it." And she's like,
awesome.
"Turn the car." She said, "Turn the car around. I know you're driving to the office right now," and I was. And I had to park the car, and I had to kind of sit in the parking lot for a minute, and just kind of think to myself, like, "Yo, what do I need to do to make this happen?" And that was hard, man. It really was. It was really, really hard. So I had to figure out a way. And I went to speak to another friend who was a broker at Cushman that I met when I was there. A really great guy. His name is Grant Goodwiller. He works for the office tenant rep team over there with Todd Brandon and Alex Beecham. And Grant was a good guy. And he and I went and had lunch about a week later. I was kind of like mentally just going through a devastating time. And I was like, "Yo, man, I need some advice. What do you recommend I do?" And he said, "Yo, man, you got to get creative, got to get outside the box, and you got to go try an interview and push for every single other large shop in town to get on their industrial team. And if not, then you got to go for small shops because at the end of the day, as long as you can source new business and execute it, it doesn't matter about the logo on your business card. It does not matter." And that was one thing that really sat home to me that Grant told me because he's right. It's true. So right after that, I immediately reached out to the other competing shops, CB, JLL, Colliers. And I was trying to reach out and get on their industrial team. They were all jam-packed because industrial, it used to be like the ugly stepchild a couple years ago, but then it started to become a really big trend. And there were every team was jam-packed, and there was no way to get on them. And I understood. And it was hard, man, to take that and realize that, all right, you know what? I had a real good chance of being on a big shop, and now I don't have a shot at that, but I still want to get into this industry. Grant had said, "Hey, have you ever heard of Boutique National?" I said, "No, who are they?" And we were sitting at lunch at Yeoman's. I'll never forget it. He's like, "Yo, here's the website. The leaders are Nick Ganey and Tommy Sarvas. Go ahead and reach out to them." So I did. I emailed them both. I messaged them on LinkedIn. It took a few days for them to respond. And crazy thing that happens was the very first day they responded to me, Tommy calls me. I was boarding a cruise ship for a bachelor party, and I was already a little tipsy. And he gives me a call. I'm a couple beers deep, and I pick up the phone, and I see his name coming out. I'm like, oh snap! I got to pick this phone call up. I jumped in some random person's room and shut the door. I didn't even know whose room it was on the ship. And I'm on the phone with Tommy in the closet, and he's trying to set up an in-person interview the following week. And there was music blaring everywhere on this cruise. We were just about to leave the port in Canaveral. And he's like, yo, what's all that music playing in the back? And I was like, yo, man, I got to be honest with you. I'm on a bachelor party. I'm going on a cruise ship. So he and I ended up setting up a meeting in person next week to interview. I went there and sat down with them both. I showed him my resume. I showed him what I was up to. I showed him what I learned. And I told him all I needed was a chance. All I needed was an opportunity to have a seat somewhere. I don't need a salary. I don't need a draw. I just need a chance. I was licensed. I was ready to go. I moved back in with my mom at the time because to help save money. I knew I couldn't support myself on my own yet because I didn't have any income besides Publix. So I was still working at Publix. And he's like, him and Nick said, yo, man, we love your energy. We love your ambition. We cannot offer you a salary. We can't offer you a draw and nothing like that. Are you okay with that? And I said, yeah, I'm okay with that. So I accepted 100% commission day one with the team splits, obviously, the team splits that we discussed. And I went to work. I started January 2020 with them. And, I cannot be more thankful for the group that I've been working with right now. Boonett has been incredible to me. The people, there's, Nick, Tommy, Bobby, Stevie, Mike now, Joe, James, Sylvia, that whole group. They have been incredibly tremendous amount of impact in my life. They have got me to where I am today. They have taught me everything I know. And I cannot thank them more than enough to help, everything for my life because they've put those stepping stones in line for me and let me run with it. They didn't put a leash on my neck. They didn't put like a leash on me to say, hey, you can only run this fast, you can only run this far. They said, listen, man, you come in here, you produce, you make money, you grow the pie for the team, and we'll help you and support you any way possibly we can. And it was hard, man. The first year was really, really challenging. My first 8 months, I didn't make $1. I didn't close one deal. COVID had just started the next month. So COVID had just hit, so we weren't able to go in the office. I wasn't able to get that one-on-one interaction with them, and I was forced to be creative. I was forced to work harder, think smarter, do things different, get outside the box, and that's when I really started honing in on LinkedIn. I got super, super heavy on LinkedIn, and this has been what's probably been the biggest attribute so far and contributor to my success. It's helped me tremendously and helped me meet some incredible people across the country. When you go try and ask people for advice, tips, strategies, things like that are in exactly right in your direct market, they're going to be hesitant and reluctant to tell you things that work well for them because at the end of the day, you're competing with them, right? Mm-hmm. But if you ask somebody who's in a different market to take 10 minutes of their day, they'll do it. And that's what I did. I developed an email script or a LinkedIn script, something that sounded non-computer, automated. It was just super personal, super cash. And I asked for 10 minutes to have a 10-minute call, and I sent that to about 300 people just to have a call to commercial real estate brokers across the country that were doing deals, that were doing doing some damage across the country, industrial brokers, and in the big markets that activity was going, Dallas, Atlanta, Charlotte, California, Denver, all those big places where a lot of activity for industrial was going. I reached out to every industrial broker I could. I had a binder full of about 300 pages. I would jump on about 4 calls every single week with new brokers and take notes on everything they did, everything that worked well for them, the tips, the strategies, the key things that worked well for their team, how they got started, where they are today, what would they recommend for somebody 22 years old to do. And I had learned an invaluable amount of educated stuff that was important for me to know, tips, tricks, and strategies that I was then able to implement in my own game and change it and tweak it a little bit and transition it into how it'll fit my skill set and how I can use that to be successful here in Tampa. And that was huge for me. I got to meet some incredible mentors who I talk to every single day now, which is awesome. I get to pick their brain and we catch up now. I meet up when I travel a good bit now, so whenever I go somewhere, I make sure I talk to them and I let them know ahead of time. I meet them up for lunch. I get a beer with them. We see a ball game. We go fishing, whatever it is. We play golf. So that has been, and honestly, it's been tremendous. And everything happens for a reason, and it's insane. It's insane how things translate the way they did. Because at the time I was so nervous and so devastated at the time about what happened and my career, how the outlook was going to be in commercial real estate. But then once I started with Boonett, I was like, you know what? I was a little nervous too. I was like, man, am I going to be able to survive and stay steady and have an income with working on 100% commission or living in the back of my mom's house and not really knowing how to do anything with COVID just beginning. I wasn't getting a one-on-one interaction with my team, with my managers. But thankfully, Nick and Tommy they were so supportive through everything. They would invite me over to their house. I would go to Tommy's house every single week. We would catch up. I'd go to Nick's house every single week. We'd catch up. They would take my phone calls every single week. We'd get on FaceTime. We would go through questions. We would go through deal flow. They'd let me listen in on conversations, go out on tours with them. And it was awesome. I got to experience a ton. I got exposed to a ton on the sales side, on the leasing side, on the development side. It was incredible. And after putting that all together, man, for those first 8 months, I didn't make $1. Finally closed, my first few deals later that year. Made $9,000. It was nothing. And after you pay your taxes, you walk away with crumbs on that. And it was hard. My mom, thankfully, man, I love her to death. And she was supporting me for that year. And now I'm still trying to pay her back in any way that I possibly can right now, which makes me feel really, really good to do that now.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. And like, I just think back to, like the lesson you learned with Julia, so that's really good leadership on her side. That's incredible. That's incredible leadership because, I'm 100% sure that her team could have used you, so like with the industrial market in Central Florida and how everything's going and everybody's so busy, everybody can use, good, competent help. And especially if they're, just starting out or whatever it is, like, entry level, whether it's research, data entry, marketing, whatever that is, I'm 100% sure that her team could have used you as help. But, what that did for you, that hard lesson that you learned, rather than just like, the coddled, like, oh, it's okay. Like, we know you didn't, do what you said you were going to do. We know that you like failed a few times. And, if they would have gave you, another try after that, would you, I don't think you'd be where you are today.
I know that for a fact it wouldn't be. And I still have this conversation with them to this day because I know at the end of the day, she had a decision to make. She had a team to protect and I didn't hold up man of the deal. So in her eyes, bringing on somebody new, even though we had a great relationship for those 2 years, it looked bad. It looked as if I took it for granted. I took the opportunity for granted, and that who knows? Maybe to her it was a bad impression in the team that maybe I wouldn't have been as faithful as a partner to hold my end of the deal up. But you know what? That made a light bulb go on in my head, and it switched everything around for me in life because it made me work harder and realize things that not everything is given to you. Obviously, I had to earn it, but she even told me, she goes, "You're going to thank me one day for this." And she, her and I we hugged each other and we cried. She cried and I cried too. And she's like, "You're going to thank me. I know you probably hate me right now, but you're going to thank me one day." And we laugh about this every week because I do.
That's good leadership, dude.
It is,
and I think that's like. Yeah. So, and I think oftentimes, when you squander an opportunity, or that can just like beat you up for so long. And I think there's a lot of people, and I've even like done this for myself. When you mess up, when you do something wrong, and you messed up, or you like let somebody down, what you let that do to you, it's really up to you. And if you were to say like, man, I didn't keep my word, like, I suck. I didn't keep my word. This is who I am. Like, that's who I am as a person. And like, I'm just going to go like get for this job and, I'm only worth this. And I'm just going to kind of take the mediocre path that I deserve to take because I squander opportunities. I mess up, that's just who I am versus like, man, like I messed up. Like I did, like I messed up, I want to be better. I want to do better. I believe in myself. It sounds like you're incredibly fortunate with, good people around you that believe in you as well. So, and then just having that mindset of like, man, that's not who I am. That's not who you are, is somebody that squanders opportunities. You are somebody that makes mistakes. And so, me, I'm sure Julia, sure everybody, everybody that has the title of human, so I think that's one thing that, you really did well was just kind of having that be a turning point, if you will. And I think that's really good. Like I said, really good leadership on Julia's behalf. And also, of course, I think that for my kids as well, I have 2 kids and I've heard some like really good parenting lessons of like, I have this one friend that he placed second in states his junior year. state tournament in swimming. And then senior year, he like they went on a trip and he acted the fool. Acted the absolute fool and like just acted out, was messing up, and he acted out and made some big mistakes. Yeah. And then he trained for everything he had to go swim at states and win a state title. And he was like ranked top. He was in position to do so. And then he acted out and like really made some big mistakes senior year. And then so when he did that, the swim teacher or the swim coach said, the parents asked the coach, they said, okay, like what do you think we should do? And it was time for states the senior year, and the swim coach said, like, I think we should hold him out. And then and then the parents actually you'd probably know. So dad is actually the mayor of Lakeland, and good friend, awesome mentor of mine, Bill Mutz, and they made the decision and said, hey, like we'll hold him out. And so he missed out on state tournament his senior year. Still one of my best friends. He was just at my wedding, and really awesome dude. But in that moment of like winning a state title as a swimmer in senior year versus like being held out and like being taken away that opportunity because of how you conducted yourself, because of the mistakes you made. And even when I was younger, when I heard that, I was just like, oh, that's jacked up. Like no parents should do that. Like that's terrible. Yeah. But it's like, man, do you care? Like how much do you care about like, your kid winning a state title as a swimmer? Or do you care about like the type of person they are or the type of person they're going to be and like what this is going to do for the rest of their life? And, I think that lesson, dude, that's a hard lesson. And it made me think of it, hearing about you of like being on this like hot shot industrial team. And then you swallowing the hard pill and saying, man, I messed up. That's not my opportunity anymore. But like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do now? And, the kind of the person that shapes you to be. I think that's an incredible lesson, and I just encourage other people, man. Don't live there for long, and just let it shape you, let it make you better, and light that fire, because you've had that fire, and dude, it's taken you to, like I said, it's been 2.5 years, which is hard to believe, since we talked in Plant City, but what that fire has done for you until where you're at now is incredible, and I've been super encouraged by your success and how you've. And so I met with Mike the other day, and out on Old Tampa. And when I went and looked at that space, and he's a younger guy. Is he younger than you? I know he's a younger guy.
He's 27. He's 2 years older than me. I'm 25.
Okay, but he's newer to the business.
Yeah, he just started like 4 months ago.
Yeah. So I could tell he was newer to the business, and just like the way he talked about you, and like just how he like kind of looked up to you and your work ethic and like leadership, and I was just like, dude, that's so cool. It's so cool to see, and similar to how other people did for you, you are able to now do for others, and I think that's what it's all about is paving a better path for other people. So, I think that's something that's really cool, man. And
it gives me a much different perspective, man. I appreciate the kind words.
Yeah. So, all right. So before we get out of here, man, what do you have going on that you're really excited for? Or what's coming up? What's next? Like. Whether it's big deals or, something happening in life, what's going on that you're excited for, coming up in the near future?
I'll do a little bit of I'll talk a little bit about work stuff, and a little bit about just life stuff and personal stuff. So just work stuff. We've got a handful of off-market deals that we have under contract right now, and a bunch of offers that are outstanding that we're negotiating right now. We've been acquiring with a client of mine. We've been acquiring a couple 100,000 square feet in the last 90 days, and we've done, thankfully, a really great job at that so far, and we're going to continue to keep buying a bunch of products and capturing more of the market share. So right now we're hitting the pavements, cold calling and prospecting and door knocking like a machine. Mike is also contributing a lot to that as well. So right now, the client's happy, I'm happy, Mike's happy, the team is happy. So we're really, really excited about that. And we're focusing on some really good pockets, really good buildings, really good sectors. And I think a lot of them are going to trade for really good numbers, and we're going to see some good returns on them too. And so I'm excited about that, awesome. And excited to see where the growth's going to go.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. And that's what it's all about. Like I was saying earlier, it's like, having younger people on the team, because you can only make so many calls, you can only knock so many doors, you have to serve those existing clients or deals and moving them to closings. Definitely. But guys like Mike, that's like, hey, you might be newer to the business, but hey, I could really use help here. So I've always said that the fastest way to the top, or to be on your way to the top, is to find someone that has momentum and provide value. So it seems like that's what Mike's done, and I'm doing that here with the guy Seth, and that's like you're saying, just rising tides floats all boats, and kind of makes everybody better in the process. So that's really good to hear. It's
all rewarding for a mutual benefit, and that's what really helps. I've learned this from seeing a couple people talk about it and preach it, man. When you leverage people and leverage technology and leverage capital for a mutual benefit, the successes and the sky's the limit. So. Everything from the perspectives and the lessons that I've learned, I've taken Mike under my wing, and he's been an incredible person, and has a lot of momentum and a lot of horsepower under him right now. He's running at a really strong speed, so we're doing great things together right now, and I only hope that we'll do even greater things in the future. So excited about that. Man. Excited about the new projects we got on. Yeah, big time.
I love to hear that. So personally, what do you got going on? What are you excited for?
Personally, man, I'm trying to catch more fish now that redfish season just started.
True.
I just got a little ginu, so I don't know if you know what a ginu is, but it's a cool little boat, man.
I was about to say that's like one of the flats boats.
It's a skiff, yeah. It's like a 16-foot skiff with like a little hand motor on the back, like a 10 horsepower motor. I can get to like 5 inches of water and just fish all the backcountry waters. So. I got it about 2 months ago, and I'm obsessed with it. And now I'm adding a bunch of little accessories to it. My buddy and I take it out every week, man. We go at nights, we go on the weekends. I did take on golf a good bit, like the last 2 years, but I love fishing. I love fishing a lot more. So I've been doing a ton of fishing, man, and a good bit of travel. Now that football season's coming up, so I can go see my buddy, see him play in Denver a little bit. So that's what's in the ticker for the next handful of months, man.
Yeah, that's exciting, man. That's awesome. So,
how about you?
And I'll be waiting for that text, man. I'll be waiting for the let's go fishing text. We can go play golf too, but I mean, it takes me about a dozen golf balls to get through 18 holes. So
you're lucky with a dozen. I'm losing about 45 in the woods.
Yeah, no, I feel that, dude. That's we're on the same wavelength there. But yeah, me, man. So for business, we got a lot going on. So a lot in the brokerage realm. Having my best year yet, and grew the team here, and really excited about that. And like I said, have some younger people underneath me, and just built a team and being able to provide value all the way around in brokerage, in investments. Like I said, I'm starting to secure more investment deals under contract with one right now in West Lakeland. I'm really excited about. I'll probably close that in the next 45 days or so. And yeah, like I said, doing the leasing, while it's under contract, and it's gonna end up to be a really good deal. So very grateful and fortunate for that one. To continue to go in investments. Excited about that. And then also CRE Academy, which you've seen, you've been a supporter of, is that's a project I've been working on for a while, and that's something that I really just had a strong passion for. The idea came about 2.5 years ago, but the timing just wasn't right. And, that was one of the best lessons that I learned. Luckily, I didn't learn it the hard way. It was just a piece about me. So, to be ambitious and entrepreneurial, you just have ideas and opportunities and a little bit of the shiny object syndrome. So, it was an opportunity I saw 2.5 years ago, and kind of just I worked on it for 2-3 months and just felt like the timing wasn't right. But then at the beginning of this year, it was, something I was just, working through, praying through, and I truly felt that God put back on my heart, and at the core of it was just impacting people, because I know what commercial real estate has done for my life, and for me, my family, my community, the people around me, and what this business has done for me. I'm just forever grateful, and it's been truly incredible and so much fun. And I want to share that with other people, and I want to help them along in that process. So coaching and training company called CRE Academy, which just launched, and having a lot of fun with it so far. It's a completely different ball game. So yes, it's real estate. Yes, it's commercial real estate, and it's things that I'm doing every single day, and I've done over years and years and time again. But building a online business is a completely new challenge, and it's just been a lot of fun though. So, it's been something that, more excited for success than, fear to fail. Yeah. And, just being challenged in new ways, and learning how to, build, market, sell, track, do everything online. It's a completely different ball game. So just having a lot of fun with that, and really, looking to see where that goes, and have big plans for it to kind of add on, multiply, feed other businesses and continue to go and grow. But, all of it for right now and, for the near future is all commercial real estate focused, man. So we're in the arena together, brother.
I love it, man. It's something that's going to be a big benefit for you in the future.
Yeah, and really hopefully for a lot of other people too. That's the goal is, it's something that, you and I both, it's like, this is a very hard business to be in. So, I've taken the lessons I've learned, the good ones, the bad ones, the hard ones, and, all of the knowledge, and really, packed it into an e-learning company to help other people. And hopefully, they can avoid some of the hard lessons that I've learned, and they can kind of fast track their success. And hopefully commercial real estate impacts them the same way it's impacted me, or somewhat similar. That's the root of it all, and that's the purpose. Which I've already had like really good feedback on, and some younger people that have followed me or watched content, just reached out and helping people and providing insight and doing all that. It's just there's no making money and building businesses is fun, but man, helping other people, there's nothing like it. So it's
fulfilling.
It's a fun gig. And then personally, man, I got a baby on the way. So we got honeymoon baby. So
congrats, man.
Yeah, bro. So due February 8th, and baby boy named Maverick. So
love the name.
Yeah, so we're excited. And
Mavy Schmidt. Love it.
Yeah, so I think it's gonna be Maverick James. And then my dad was like, my dad's a hoot, dude. It's like so. Because Maverick, it's it's a unique name, and the older generations are like, what? Maverick?
Yeah.
He's like, all right, well, I guess you can call him a few different things. He's like, you can call him Mav, or you can call him Rick. He's like, and like if it's Maverick James, like you can do MJ, or it could be Rick James. I was like, dude, get out of here, dude. But so he could have a variety of names, and we'll see what he wants to be called when he gets here. So excited about that, and man, that's what I got going on. So
I love that, bro. It's awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So before I take the rest of your day, we'll go ahead and sign off, man. But just thank you so much again. And so you've crushed it on social. So where can people find you on the internet? I know they can find you, out there in the 6-inch water, ripping lips. But where can they find you in the business world?
I was gonna say you can find me in the woods looking for my golf balls, but
me too, brother.
No, if you want to come find me, go to any industrial park there on a Friday between 8 and 2, and that's when I'm doing my door knocking. That's what I'm doing it. So someone might run into me in my white Camry.
Love that, man. So on LinkedIn, Robbie Lober, one of the best follows on LinkedIn for sure. And man, like I said, you've been doing really well, and just keep on keeping on. In the wise words of Joe Dierte. we'll let him end our time today. But yeah, man, thank you so much.
Much love.
And we'll see you next time.
You got it.
All right, thanks, brother.
Thanks, man. You got it.